Hello everybody, welcome back as ever to Building Blocks, where we program Minecraft mods live on camera and watch as they all explode, because Minecraft is not very stable, let's put it mildly. We are today working more on various equipment, not various oddities. We'll get back to various oddities in the near future, but there has been some development in the course of various equipment, because previously our biggest problem was that we couldn't add new projectiles, because we couldn't add new entities, because for whatever reason they just didn't render it. And the advice I got from Forge, which is always a fun time, getting advice from the Forge devs, was that I needed to rebuild the entire system by which I registered entities. Fortunately, with various equipment, that's a lot easier than with various oddities, because various equipment has, like, had to at the time, free now. Did someone say big arms left? Okay, I need my left arm to, like, WASD at the moment, so I'll do that after I've shown stuff off a little bit. We now have full proper item textures for the repeating crossbow. The repeating crossbow didn't have any entity issues, so that was fairly easy to do. I believe the repeating crossbow is now completely feature complete, so that's grand. We also have a recipe for the short bow, which I don't appear to have on a frame here. Let's fix that up. Blub, blip, beep, blip. So yeah, currently just looks exactly like a regular bow. But the recipe for that is 1 string and 3 sticks, so you can actually make that in the field, which is an interesting concept, I guess. Just show that off real quick. Oh, right, yes. There we are. And shortbow. Not to confuse with Mercy shortbow. We also have caltrops now. They actually have a recipe, which is 5 iron nuggets in a star shape. Gets you 2 of them. They only stack up to, I think I made it 8. So, something to bear in mind. They have a full-blown model now, which makes them look pretty nice, I dare say. And because I finally was able to actually get the entities working, after I rebuilt the whole thing, I was actually then able to code the physics of the caltrops, because they don't work quite the same way as other projectiles, because these are meant to actually, like, stick around on the ground, that kind of thing. So, these can actually be bounced, which is pretty sweet. I can actually, like, skim them down here. Pretty nice, I love it. And upon contact with the player, you take a little bit of damage and you get a little bit of slowness. So, it's a decent way of, like, harrying a pursuer. They're cheap, you don't get them back if you use them, but you do get some useful stuff there. Bit of damage, bit of slowness, all nice. Thanks to the rebuild, we also can now finally see our holy water as we throw it, rather than it just happening in place. The caltrops I should add actually will also bounce off of you. So, for instance, there we have it. They also have no loyalty. They will not, like, avoid they won't avoid injuring whoever, like, threw them. So, stepping on sharp things. Oh yeah, fun fact: caltrops are an extremely old thing, and they're also extremely simple. Their design is specifically made so that one point is always facing upwards when they land, no matter how they actually land, which is really interesting. Like, in the Middle Ages, they would just be made from 2 curved pieces of steel that were just, like, welded together lightly. It was really, really fascinating bit of history there. Let me see, we got the shortbow, we got the recipe for the, well, we have the item textures now for the repeating crossbow. There is a problem with the repeating crossbow that I don't know if I'll get to today, but we'll have a look at it nonetheless. 2-pick can make a really good caltrop. Please don't ask how I know this, you don't want to know. Oh dear. So yeah, we can see kind of the problem here. Firstly, I did not know before this that regular crossbows always show the same icon whenever they're, like, in an item frame. Bit of an odd touch there, but yeah. But yeah, we can see regular crossbow renders in this kind of Doom Bazooka kind of style, whereas our current crossbow is off to the side there. Whereas I would prefer it to actually function like a regular crossbow in this regard. We also don't quite get the pose like that, so that is a thing that I need to fix. That is probably, unfortunately, going to require some mixing to the rendering, probably re-implementing a lot of stuff that already happens, because there is a function in the crossbows called is charged, which basically puts us into this position only whenever there's actually ammunition in the regular crossbow. Which we can actually make that work with our repeating crossbow, which also extends from the crossbow item from vanilla. But the rendering that decides that this should happen specifically first checks if the item is a vanilla crossbow. So there's no way for me to actually make it work with the repeating crossbow without overruling it with mixing. Bit of a massive pain, that, but oh well. But anyways, let's see, I've shown off the caltrops, I've shown off the holy water networking, we still have the short bow, which is just charges up really quickly, but does not go nearly as fast. So, bleh, that is as far as you get. Time to code to overcode happening? Yeah, Godspeed. I believe I've shown off the glaives and daggers before. Fairly certain. Oh yeah, bowed needles now have a projectile as well. So it's not quite as fast, and it will not go as far. But when we get to round 2 making the blowgun, all of the code for it is right there, so that's grand. And the blowgun will definitely be able to fire bowed needles at a more, useful speed, but you can't just throw a bone needle at somebody if need be. And it will actually do 1 point of damage, and then also apply the needled status effect, which means we now have our route to making corpses. A weird sentence, but that happens a lot when you're coding Minecraft mods. Or just coding in general, I guess. No further progress as yet on the third eye. We just sort of have this nice little Squidward face here, so I figured leave it there. But anyways, today we are going to start off, this might be most of our evening, I'm not 100% certain, by adding a new entity, a utility entity. Creates a corpse. This is intended. Yeah, usually when you shoot people in the face and they die, they just evaporate into a cloud of particles and items. We want them to actually have a corpse. So hit somebody with a bone needle, and then if you shoot them in the face, then they'll actually keel over and leave something behind. It's weird, but it's the most compatible solution. Back in 1.12 we just had basically everything that wasn't undead drop a body, and it caused so much massive lag, because if you had a mob farm running, most of the mobs you'll find in a mob farm are undead, but if you had a mob farm running, then the spiders and such and the creepers and such would just sort of accumulate as corpses, which meant that your mob farm quickly ballooned in the number of entities it had, so it just eventually crashed the server, essentially just made the world unloadable. This time around, we're making it more of an opt-in kind of situation. So, maybe players, there's probably going to be a config option that players will always drop bodies, but otherwise you'll need to have the needled status effect, which is provided from both needles. Could do some really interesting lore with that. A magic that leaves a body behind when you die. Could do a lot with that. Feel free to come up with lore. This game, this mod is very open-ended. But, anyways, we are going to be working on these today, the horse-drawn cart, and other mods have made these, but I've never been quite satisfied with how other mods have made these, and more importantly, I haven't made these, so it'll be fun to try anyways. I have big plans for what you'll be able to do with carts, so let me just jot down some notes here. Pulled by horse. Currently, I'm thinking just the one, because implementing it with 2 horses or more might be very difficult. Controlled from... Well, carts and wagons are separate things. Oh yeah, I forgot the thing, didn't I? Okay. Dusty, what did you redeem? Was it the low one? No, it was not the low one. Okay. Okay. Right. So for those of you who maybe weren't here earlier, I've added dumbbells just to sort of get my weak programmery noodle arms a little more into shape. Because I used to have, like, quite nice definition on these, and it's kind of gone as I've gained weight, because... oh well. There we go, okay. Similarly... I'm gonna be holding these now, whenever I'm like... wow, Dusty just trying to destroy me, I see, right. Well, I guess I'm a twink, so I guess I should be destroyed, but, yeah. Trying to use these to try and, like, improve the benefits of this. Whenever it be possible to make him do all three at once. Theoretically, but holding this whilst doing curls on both arms would be a bit tricky. It's almost bulking season, I'm losing water weight. I'm trying to lose a lot of weight, actually, because a lot of things have changed about me in the past year or so. But one of the things I'm least fond of is just, like, that. That's mostly not going anywhere, but I'm trying to get rid of it a little bit, at least. Okay, right, 20 squats then. This, by the by, is a 2.5 kilogram weight. I do have, I think, 3 of these, so I guess I could go up to 7.5 kilograms if I want to do that, but... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Reasons you should get affiliate fitness might be the only thing that could make you exercise and your friends are meeting enough to spam it. Oh boy. Okay, right. Back to the code. Honestly, Wiver, I'm a little bit surprised the cow didn't sit on you for that. Like, it sat on Nick just for being mentioned. So, Anyways, let me just, like, list down our major things here. So, wagon entity, rideable, right click, you get on it. 4 wheels made from item, meaning all of the wheels are rendered from an actual item model, rather than being themselves part of the actual, like, rather than just being, like, the actual part of the model. What that has an advantage of is it means we can change what item it is. Sell yourself to me, give me a reason to use my Prime sub. I'm a massive nerd and I'm also really attractive. Like, really, really huge dork. Just ridiculous. And, you know, I have a nice chest, I guess, and a massive butt. There we go. Thank you, Guy. It's like the time I think Zen was able to... oh, yeah. I'm a massive nerd who'll talk about programming and horror and all manner of video games and such, but also I'm hot. And you can make me dance, essentially. Oh, right, yes, Dusty had more curls, I believe, in there. Yep, 2.5 kilograms on the right. Gotcha. Right. And programming horror? Oh god, there's so much programming horror. God, I was asked to sell myself. What did you think that was gonna kill? let Lang be proud of how he looks. I did literally just say that that's parts of me I'm trying to change. But other parts are changing by their own accord, so that's nice. Okay. So, wheels drawn from an actual item. And that means that we can make this to a degree kind of a modular kind of thing, so that we can actually have different kinds of wheel, for instance, different kinds of chassis, and we can expand the chassis or add a cover for a canopy, that kind of thing, so that we have one entity effectively serving like 16 plus kind of visuals, which is always good. That's always a big plus in the various family of mods. So let's see. Leash to horse. Control horse from wagon. Meaning that instead of we connect the horse and the wagon together and they're just sort of one conglomerate entity, like, I'm trying to think, you know, in like Fallout, where there'll be like an object and it looks like two things, but they all have they have the exact same rotational center point. So when they turn, the like horse scoots along the ground and that kind of thing. Like when a horse in Minecraft is mounted and rotates, it's just like, no, it's not moving its legs at all, it's just spinning in place. What we want it to do is actually be a matter of you sit on the wagon, and your controls then affect the horse that the wagon is connected to, so that the horse moving controls where the wagon and such goes, but you're not actually riding the horse, nor is the wagon riding the horse, that kind of thing. And we'll ideally accomplish that by having the wagon itself just try to maintain a specific distance from the horse, so that it actually like can get into corners where it like turns, that kind of thing, so it actually maneuvers like an actual wagon. Now there is a mod that already exists called Asticore, which is a fairly well done mod. I'm not necessarily a fan of 100% of the visuals of it, or some of the, like, I remember it being buggy, but I know it's been updated more recently. And it does behave in that fashion, in that here we have horse, there we have, well, it's more of a cart, but nonetheless. And as the horse is moving around, the cart is just sticking up behind him, like that. That is the kind of motion that we want, but as you can see here, the limitation of Asticore, this video, by the way, by Jury TV, if you want to check them out, because this is handy references.
Lion G Witch.
Thank you for that, guys. 16 months? Wow. That works, but I, like, the standard fantasy, like, view is always, like, when they're sat on the front with, like, the reins, and they're just sort of, like, controlling it from the back. Do I have a nice picture of that? Let's see.
It's been a whole year.
Wow. 12 whole months. But yeah, here's literally, like, some Lego. It's like, there's where you sit, so you control the reins there. You don't ride the horse to drive the wagon. So, I want to actually be able to sit on the wagon and control the horse, and that's gonna be tricky, not gonna lie. But let's get started just by adding our wagon entity as just our start. Before I drive myself horse. And I think the plan I'll have in the future is that whilst we're basing this as a wagon right now, it'll be like, actually, you'll start with a cart, you add more chassis, it becomes a wagon, that kind of thing. But for right now, we're just starting with a wagon because that'll be straightforward. Let's see, I think we just need entity for the most part. Or no, actually, this should be a living entity, so it will have health. Be some interesting pieces here. Okay. If the wagon glitches out, would it be a laggin? I guess? Not entirely sure what that would even, like, mean. What? I'm guessing a minecart is a miscellaneous entity. At a, like, pure guess. Not 100%. And let's see. 1.5 by... Yeah, probably 1.5 will do. Very, very basic here. We're not doing very much with it just yet. So, fun fact, in horses, or is it llamas? I can't forget. I can't remember which. They probably both do something similar. The armor slots aren't just armor. In llamas, for instance, one of the main armor slots, I think the chest slot, is actually for their carpet. So, if we presume that a given wagon will have 4 wheels, then we can use the armor inventory list as our actual wheel list. So that as we take damage, instead of damaging the entity itself, we'll just do damage to the component parts of it. So the rear part of a carriage, if we happen to have one, the wheels, and then as those parts take damage and break, we can have that impact what the actual wagon itself looks like. So we can remove wheels, and now suddenly it's dragging slower, that kind of thing. We can remove the back chassis, and now suddenly we have less storage space, that kind of thing. I do want these to have storage space. We're probably not getting to that today, but I like the idea that a full-blown wagon will have like 2 double chests worth of storage space, which is a really significant amount of storage space that I think people will like. You can approximate just by having like 2 shulker boxes, because Minecraft is not heavily balanced in terms of capacities, but oh well. Anyways, just populating these values before we hop in and do stuff. Two double chests before shulker boxes? Yeah, true. Which is 4 slots in your inventory. But just, eh. There we go. Okay. It might have some trouble with this, but we'll find out in a hot second, I guess. It also won't be a renderer just yet, but we'll get to it in a hot second. I have already put together a model, so we should at least have the main chassis of the wagon. But it's not an entity model, because it's made more like an item frame, essentially. Item frames, if you didn't know, are actually a block model being rendered on an entity. It's just that you can't actually access that block inside of anywhere. Yeah, it's honestly really hard to make mounts relevant in Minecraft when people have access to things like elytra and rockets. Like, when you have a shulker box, one shulker box is a single slot in your inventory, and it's bigger than any donkey. So there's no point having a donkey if you have access to shulker boxes. You are a lot more maneuverable than any of the mounts available in vanilla. And capacity-wise, none of the mounts in vanilla can remotely hold a candle to the player, so... especially when shulker boxes get involved. Okay. So, let's see. Summon... There we are, there's a wagon. Unable to summon. Let's find out why. Attributes. We didn't register the attributes, that's why. Yes, but consider yeehaw. I think there is a lot of, I think there is definitely some meaningful value to be drawn from the aesthetic of that, yeah. Right, because this is a living entity, it actually needs to have some data to it. So that's another thing I need to port in quickly. Thankfully, that part of various entities works just fine. Nobody in Forge could give me an explanation for why our problem with invisible entities, and then later also pig entities, happened exclusively with the non-living entities. So arrows, rockets, darts, that kind of thing. Nobody had an explanation for that for me. It was very weird. Oh right, there is a couple of things I could show off in here, I guess. I had some free time. Hee-haw, like a donkey noise? Ah, yes. I had some free time, so I might have ported some things into various oddities. Real quick. Just as a note. Anyways, that's the code I'm looking for. I don't do anything, I should stress before we see this, but they are there. Let's see. Right. Yeah. Who wants to see the things? Going to preempt chat and say, everybody. There were some really nice models that I made in 1.12, so I figured instead of waiting like 18 years or whatever to actually port them to 1.16, I would just put them in now.
A new challenger approaches.
Good luck. I actually had a little button set up for that.
Player has joined the game.
Okay. Anyways, yeah, well, here we have the models for the Kirin Archfey, for the Changeling, as well as the Witch Archfey. They don't do anything right now, but look pretty, and there's parts of them that aren't even implemented, so there's just, like, no third eye on the Kirin, there's no actual, like, ponytail or crown on the Witch, but they do look pretty nice, nonetheless. Just as a thing.
A new challenger
approaches. That's pretty sweet. I'm just gonna turn off the alert box for a hot diggity minute. They're so very good at looking pretty. Yes, they are. Like, these are really nice models, and I like them. So, naturally, had to import them. At some point, I might make the dress, at least part of this, into an actual cosmetic that you can wear. It is very saloon girl, I will say, and I don't know if I could make the corset work, because that is actually smaller than actual player, like, torso, so I'd have to swap out the entire body. But, like, the rest of it, pretty nice. Pretty nice. As I say, they don't do anything. They're just, like, they're literally labeled as whip. So, nobody expects anything out of these guys for a while, but they're there to look nice, at the very least. I'll probably add the View of Vision at some point, similarly. Anyways. Let's see. Bus.add listener. VE entities. Register entity attributes, was that? Register attributes. There. So now we just need to handle the get attributes part, because that does not currently exist in here. Have we had any fan art of Witch Archfey? I don't know. I don't genuinely know. Have we had a few? We've had a few of Archfey, but I don't know that we've had any of the patron Archfey like that. Let's see. That's the thing I need. Right there. 102 of the Joel thing? True, yes, we have had that. that should be straightforward and include max health good, yes. That should be all that needs. So now let's try and get... Well, now let's see if we can sport it, essentially. I swear it used to be easier, but oh well. And meanwhile, I will just use the somewhat meager Twitch options for banning and reporting somebody. There we go. Okay. So let's try that again. Something's happened. Okay, what was the problem this time? Entity render manager? Yeah, because we don't have a renderer assigned for it. But hey, that's progress. Yeah, I think it was literally just that we don't have a render for it. So hey, that's good, it spawned. Surprisingly, that constitutes progress. Case, we're not going to need an entity texture. That's fine. What we do need to look at is the item frame renderer. And we're going to need to know precisely how it manages to give out this thing. Now, not very difficult for the most part, it's just a matter of setting things up. For instance, we need to add the actual block for the chassis. But for right now, let's just register the renderer and make sure that the game stops crashing. Do we think it's safe for me to turn off the follower mode? Hey, Jacket. How you doing? Hey, Lance. Good to see you too. Bunker defense protocols are currently on, so I apologize if that messes with the chats a little bit right now. But we just got hate rated for the second time in this week, so yeah. Girlard's been saying I should drop by for a while, see if I could shoot. Okay, well, we're doing some interesting stuff making wagons today. Right. If this works, what should happen is we see nothing, but the game doesn't crash. Which I know is an odd thing, but programming does that a lot of the time. The worrying implication of the dumbbell and the squat rewards is that sometime in the future I will just end up accidentally being like a weightlifting streamer. Like, I'll just have to turn my camera around entirely and show off, like, the dumbbell sets, the like treadmill, the deadlift. Like, I wouldn't actually be able to stream anything else because I'll just keep getting alerts from these things. New YouTube series upload? Are you referring to mine or yours? Because I haven't been keeping up with yours. Okay, let's test if it's actually there, because obviously we can't see it. Mine? Oh, good to know. Unexpected error. That being? That there presumably wasn't any? Okay. Summon a wagon. Aha! Wagons. Very good. Hydrate before I dihydrate? Yeah. There we go. And of course it's the 5. Maybe I should lift the cost of the actual, like... the cost of the 5, because... I should take it. I want you all to appreciate these things are bigger than my head. But yeah, the new series Clockwork and Memory started recently, which is a Come Back Home series. So it is old school Minecraft YouTuber stuff. I'm small. I mean, you're not wrong, but still. I'm small in many ways, except those that matter. Other than my YouTube subscription count and my Twitch subscriber counts and my bank balance and all that stuff. But you know, many things that matter are not small upon me. Okay. We have successfully gained ourselves some wireframes, but still. Getting serious flashbacks to the good old days of watching you, Dave, Alco, and Sice. Ah, memories. Okay. Now we need to implement a block that we cannot actually get, which is fine. Call that wagon, chassis, oak. No problem there. We don't want to make an item for this. We just need to actually have that there. That said, we might be able to set it. Not sure. Oh, and that is my that is the media keys on my keyboard going wonky, unfortunately. Which is a real pain a lot of the time, but not much I can do about it. Set your keyboard. Yeah, my keyboard's been dying for ages. Like, I love my keyboard. It looks like it fell off of the Battlestar Galactica, which I like a lot, but it is very old. I think I've had this thing since university. But it has very incredibly, what's the phrase? Stimmy, clickety clacks. Okay, all of that should be good. At the very least we'll have a shape. Right, so let's see if we can actually plonk an oak wagon chassis. And then we can work on having the wagon render as one. Fairly straightforward. I am also going to tentatively lower the bunker defenses, so I apologize if I have to hastily put them back on. You're putting on a new keyboard just because you're attached to mine too? Yeah. Alright, I think we're good. chat was not immediately flooded by more messages, so yeah, good. Yeah, the Clockwork and Memory is going to chiefly center around modded content, focusing on the Create mod, because it is amazing and I love it. But of course it's also going to have Sparpy in it, so that'll be nice. Okay, do we have a wagon? Like oak wagon chassis in this list? Yes we do, okay. It's there. Any trouble with it now is just going to be a consequence of the block model not working out entirely. Let's see, it is oak wagon chassis. Yes, did I name it wrong here? Nope, that's correct. That is also correct. I don't think I'm capable of not making a series of RP. I mean... somewhat. Presumably. We know we have the model, we know we have the block state. Did I code the block state incorrectly? Nope, should be there. Okay. It is the correct block, okay. Textures are irrelevant because it's drawn just from the vanilla textures currently. Let's try refreshing the resources and seeing if that fixes it up. If not, it'll give us an error as to what's missing. I forgot we inputted burnt torches. Okay, it literally found nothing. It found, or rather, it found stuff, but it didn't actually render it. That's curious indeed. I wonder what's going on with that then. Let's try changing this to be yellow screen. Alright, you know, let's make it something in here that I've actually used. A centrifuge? Those are also imported models, so those don't necessarily work the way they should right now, but they're there. Okay, so that works fine. So it's the model that is somehow wrong. Fascinating. What is going on with this then? Ah, that's probably it. No parent. Attic, yes. Very simple, but it doesn't actually tell you that's an error. I did see an error there. What happened? From specifier exceeds the allowed boundaries. So this won't render as a block because it's bigger than a block. I think. Well, let's boot this up for the entity and see if it cares there. And more or less, we just need all the same stuff here. It makes sense, kind of. I mean, yeah. But yeah, what it's complaining about there is that the actual block, like the model down here, is really heckin' big. So consequently, it exceeds the scaling of the actual textures it's given. A lot. I guess I could... It'd be really time consuming, but I could definitely fix that. Well, anyways, let me just grab all this first. some real quick and dirty tidying. We are going to do quite a bit of tweaking here, because obviously an item frame and a wagon are very distinct things. But we should be able to get this working. Doodaloo. I don't know why you'd make your wagon invisible, but I'm probably going to make it so that you can't, because that would be weird. It's like making your minecart invisible. Let's see, the flag there is, are we invisible? We don't care too much there. What is that flag? That flag is if we're invisible, again. Let's see, map data, is that a relevant thing for us? Not dreadfully. Yeah, there we are. So that is entirely map, as near as I can tell. I know that's the display data, never mind. Why? Hang on, let me just... I'm not going to be keeping this code, but let me just show this off for a hot second to explain why this is weird. Here we have a check for if map data is null. If it isn't, then we go into this window, where we then check again if the map data is null. It's a bit odd. I also don't know why it has the... I guess because they do change their rendering a little bit when they're invisible. Because the item still gets displayed whether they're invisible or not. Item stack for us is irrelevant at this particular moment. Though we will need something like that in a little bit. There's all manner of instances of stuff like this, variables inside of Minecraft code that have very specific values, but are never actually referenced. And I can only presume that they were used in here during dev, but they just got left behind at some stage. It's very strange. Okay, now we just need to actually... we don't need the item renderer just yet because it's not used. So. Okay, that should cause us to at least render something. But we'll see what it looks like in 10 minutes. See you then. Go grab yourselves a drink, everybody. Welcome back, everybody. So just before we left off there, we have a model, fully textured and everything, for our wagon, but we're having some trouble actually viewing that model in-game because its texturing is a bit weird, because it's a big thing. So we have now ported the code for item frame rendering into a renderer for our wagons, so we should see a pair of item frames. Perfect. That is exactly what we're looking for. Okay. So now we change the code around and make it actually try to render our wagon chassis. Finally, you can use some points, yes, to make me squat. Oh dear. You've used your powers unwisely. But okay. I have already switched this around, so it should, sping should render this as the oak wagon chassis block model, but we'll see. Rendering models that are blocks is a bit wonky inside of Minecraft because item frames, for a reason, pretty much, are the ones that do it. Well, item frames do it, boats do it, I think minecarts do it a little bit. It's not everything is actually an entity model, as it were. So while that boots up, I've got 20 to do. One, two, 3, 4, 5, 6. Forgot my weight, didn't I? Well, that's a new innovation. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Just to give you an idea of how heavy that is. Right. Well, I guess that's really more a test of its hardness than its weight, but yeah. Massive plushie landing on it versus, like, medicine ball, which is a thing I don't have, or else I'll be using that. Anyway, it's good to know we have the hate raid protections actually functioning. That's good to see. Okay, so it doesn't work then, which means we need to adjust the model, which shouldn't be the hardest thing in the world, but will be a little bit annoying. But anyways, at least I should get to see it. I do think I want to take that out as well. So thank you to Mr. Crayfish. It is invaluable. Though the files, the file directory searching could maybe do some refinement. Right. So here we have the model for our oak wagon chassis. Fairly straightforward, pretty simple, but that grid right there is the size of a block. But I guess mostly the like footprint of a block. So it's a little bit huge. And this is more or less scaled to be about 3 by 4 blocks. And we need to make it so that none of these, ideally, none of these parts are bigger than 1 block. So let's start one of these walls. Card texture very satisfying. It's literally just default textures, which is why I'd like, at a certain point, to be able to have you be able to make these from different kinds of wood, so you can have a dark oak versus a regular oak, that kind of thing. Ah, 20, should I do that maybe? Or should I make sure it's actually 16? I guess we can break this up into 16s. Textures as default means texture packs can work easily on them. Indeed. The up needs to be changed as well. And the down. Okay, that gives us one 16 pixel element right there. Now we more or less just need to duplicate that and move it along. Pretty much. This is a lot more pieces than I would prefer to have had, but yeah, just the things we have to deal with, I guess. I'm just going to change this very slightly, because there's this top piece that I'm not terribly comfortable with how it looks. So I just need to change how it actually figures. Bottom section doesn't matter as much. But there we go. It's just a little bit better. I'm at least hoping that indeed it's properly retaining things here, but who knows? Evidently didn't keep that rotation. Yeah, it doesn't like to keep the rotations, apparently. A little weird. Okay, and then one last piece, which does not go the full way, but is still nonetheless there and important. Really wish this had like scroll wheel support, just so that I'm not hacking up my wrist clicking this so much. But oh well. Okay. So that's now basically the same exact thing, just different chunks rather than anything else. So we need to do that again, unfortunately, for basically every component of this model. Oh well. Can I be sneaky and just duplicate this, I wonder? Who knows? Yeah, you can see where the wherever the texture goes off the screen there, it is too big. And that means that that is probably what's causing this issue. So essentially we need to turn this into boards and use those. God, how big even is this section, I wonder? I don't even know anymore. That is 43 by 1 by 65. Oh boy. That doesn't have any rotation to it though, so we'll do that. Now. There's a weird degree of verisimilitude here in that we are now effectively, literally building this out of planks. Like, that is essentially exactly what we're doing right now. A little bit amusing, that. A lot of these pieces don't even need to be visible. Just having them there so we can actually get this built. Feels like old school Minecraft animation. A little bit. Yeah, I can see that. Okay. That looks good. So let's just start replicating that and moving it around to actually fill up this whole thing. The Z fighting there is from the seat, so that's fine, that's nothing to worry about. The annoying thing is, I actually set this up ahead of stream, so that I wouldn't have to do this on stream. And here I am. Do I want that, like, 1 pixel lip? What could I do without this? Actually, it's not even there. I think I do, though. I think I do. What is the next part I need to fix here? Where's north? North is that. Okay, so if we... There we go, that's what I need. That makes it a bit easier to see what's going on, right? So let's see, it has the west and the east. Right, gives us a nice little road there. Move that back into position, and that is one more or less third of this functioning, as near as I can tell. Okay. We still gotta get the rest of this across. Okay. Alas, I can only replicate one of them at a time. Dang. Fix your tool. Speaking of, here we go. Busy night. Busy night. Anyways, how are we all doing, everybody? Hanging in there? Why are they so bad lately? Well, to be perfectly honest, I am kind of a magnet. Because let me see, I've got on, at least on Twitch, I have the LGBT tag, I have the transgender tag, I have the autism tag, I have the neurodivergent tag. All of those things are really big targets for douchebags, with bot accounts and lots of time on their hands. Fortunately, at least now I have that button that prevents them from actually having a meaningful impact on anything. Not unlike their lives. Like, could you imagine if these people mattered? Personally, the fun thing for me is whenever they drop in and say, like, you will never pass as a woman, and I'm just sat here like, I'm not trying to. But thanks for the reassurance that I'm successfully not. Okay. Steadily reconstructing. We are gonna have to fix that because that's due to it just not liking the east and the rotations on that side, but steadily getting there. It's because I'm British. Well, we British have done a lot of terrible things in our time. God, this really needs, like, technically has like scroll function built into it. That'd be so useful right about now. Okay, yeah. Thankfully, looks like because of that little lip there, we actually don't need to care about the side on this at all. Ah. Get towards the ship tower physics go wild again? Yeah. I'm probably gonna have to reset the stream boss after tonight, but oh well. It's a lot easier to reset a stream boss than it is to make a chat that's being flooded with hate actually pleasant to be in, so yeah, I'll take it. God, I hope this plan works, because if it doesn't, oh, it's going to be such a pain to rebuild this. I think that's the base done. Just need to adjust these faces a little bit. wide is this? This is now 12, okay. Okay. That should be fine. So that's the base done. One less piece that has textures bigger than 16 by 16. Let's do the seat next. Because that should at least break down to 3 of these. Yeah, the size on the texture says 48, which is 3 times 16, so that should be fine. But we do need to rotate. Southwest, up and down, I think it is. Yeah, down matters very slightly, but enough. Okay, east and west don't matter on the middle one. But we do need the other ones rotated. Actually, down shouldn't matter on this one either. It's always interesting to see the interiors of things like that. Yeah, down's disabled, up is enabled. East and west, there you are. Okay. I don't know how... I don't know exactly what the capacity will be, like how many people can sit on a wagon at once. Haven't quite decided that firmly. Let's see. East is not necessary for this one. And everything else again, just 90-degree tones. Okay, that is the seat complete. Oh, I forgot to turn on... Oh, I did turn on that, apparently, but it's not showing here. Also, I should be seeing it. That should be... No, that's the east side, that's why. Wrong ones. Feels like it could vary if you want extra storage. I guess, yeah, like the seating capacity. To some certain extent, sure. Right. Let's go with these beams, these axles. How wide are those? Those are also 3 blocks. Okay. Doable. We can manage that. Okay, nope, they are 50. Never mind. This is weird. It's like we're actively building these things, like from different component pieces. Which is weird because this is not Minecraft. Clearly. Are the axles wider than the wagon's walls? Yes. Right here. The wheels will be down here a little bit, so it should be fine. Shouldn't have any interaction there. Whoop, that was the wrong axis. 26, okay. Oh, perfect. Just about. Yeah. Okay, that's not quite perfect, but it looks the part, and that's good enough. Will you be able to store things in the cart? Yes. That is a big, like, planned feature, because just having a mount that you can attach to a horse isn't very meaningful in Minecraft, but, like, it's unusual, but it's not meaningful. It doesn't impact your gameplay much, but being able to store multiple double chests worth of items into a mount, that's meaningful. You still probably will you'll still probably have people who just, like, completely skip it by once they get elytras and, elytras and shulker boxes, both of which unfortunately happen at the same point of gameplay, but at least this will actually work. Like, at least it will have actual meaningful gameplay. Okay, so that is minus 13. What if you could store other blocks on the wagon, like an anvil? That's getting a little bit complex. I do like the idea of modularity. I do like the idea that these things can be actually, like, altered and adjusted to suit your purposes and such. That we have basically one basic item and it just gets turned into other things based on what items you add to it. But we'll see exactly how deep into that it gets. Probably not very today, but it's a plan. Okay, so that is this with this wall. That is the seat. That's both axles. Just got this last wall to do. Always been fascinated by mobile bases. Yeah, I can definitely understand the appeal. There's a lot of limitations to Minecraft that makes them very difficult, though. Not sure how D&D or pseudo-medieval this is, but maybe covered wagons that prevent phantoms and things like that from attacking you if you're under the cover. A canopy is definitely a thing, because a covered wagon is, like, a very classical element of wagons and such. So, almost a guarantee there that that'll be included. I have to really do a pass on this to see exactly which parts I need to be able to see. But as long as I've got the first major part of this going, that's fine. Graphics don't have to be 100%, this thing just came into being tonight. Okay. Last part. Hopefully this resolves our issue. I was thinking of the Wild West with covered wagons. Yeah, that is entirely fair. It's actually a little difficult to tell when wagons were first, like, when they first became a thing, because humans have needed to move heavy objects long distances for a very long while. The Oregon Trail, yeah. God, the Oregon Trail. Ugh, what a mess. What an absolute mess. Okay, that should be all of this. Reduced to at most 16 by 16, I think, except for these interiors, but those still track to the exact area. Nothing goes off the screen here. So I'm just going to save that. So if need be, I can open this up again. Hard to tell when wagons came into being because wagons are wood. Wood is a very basic technology, yes, but, like, more or less since we've had the wheel, we've known how to make carts and wagons. They've been fairly straightforward. As long as you've got two of them and then something on top and then something to balance it out, you've got a cart there. Like, that's very easy. It's not necessarily something you can build by yourself very easily, but it is something that is, like, very low tech. Not quite like Stone Age kind of tech, but tech. Just export this. And then we need to remember to tell it that it is parent block. Okay. Let's see what it thinks about that. Fingers crossed, it's fine. If instead the from to refers to the actual cube coordinates in space, then it's a little bit more tricky. But I don't think that's the case. Either way, we'll see. Whoop, hang on. I think I spotted that. From specifier exceeds the allowed boundaries. That is a problem. Okay. Can I scale this down so that it's within those boundaries? I could, and then rescale it inside the renderer, except that's gonna squeeze our textures a ton. Like, I need to be exceedingly precise with that. See how it looks, at least. The answer is it doesn't, but it's there. We can interact with it, at the very least. Okay, so how do we fix this problem? Of course, it loads all the registry information, so I can't actually see the log that we just had. Blech. Exceeds bounds. How do we change that? Or how do we make it stop caring, I guess? Let's have a quick poke at the model information. Is there a variable I can give this that would make it stop caring? Not that I can see. Yeah. Values must be between -16 and 32. Okay, so we've possibly just made this too big for its own good, essentially. Yeah, there's one part of it. So if we just nudge these pieces around, they don't need to be pretty just yet, but let's nudge them around. Okay, anything that is the wrong size, we just need to nudge. Yeah, essentially I tried to make a 3x4 when I'm only allowed essentially a 2x2, a 3x3, I think. That's the major crux of it. But that's fine. Minimize this a bit because the numbers over here are behind my microphone for my view. This works, it will be wonky looking. I mean, you can see it kind of already. But okay, let's export that. Okay, so that looks fine, that looks fine. If it's greater than 32 or less than -16 is what we're looking for. But those numbers look to be good to me. Okay. Let's run it, see what it tells us. Fingers crossed we get something here. We can rescale things a little bit. I would prefer not to, so that what you actually model as a block is still what you get in the thing. Okay, that looks like it was... okay, to specifier exceeds the allowed boundaries. Apparently still. -13, 12... oh, 41. We missed one. Presumably. Yell if you see it, everybody. wall right number 3, apparently. Ah, the 2-part. Yeah, okay. I see how that's happened. Wait, we'll write 2? Sure. Oh, we'll write 3. Anyway. Yeah, it's that plus that, because that's the from part. This is the 2. That plus that is 0. That plus that is fine. Yep, still good. 0 again. Uh, 30, so that's 40, so that needs to move back 8. Anything goes further forward than that, it's wrong. Anything goes further out than that, it's also wrong. At least now we know. A tragedy, but we're gonna have to make this significantly more squat, I guess. Just steadily squeezing this in to 3x3. Uh, 16, 30, 40 again, so let's just ditch that, yep. That should be everything fitting into this particular range, I think. It's not going to look good just yet, because we're definitely going to have to redo the texturing a bit, but it should at least fit, and that should hopefully mean we don't get this error down. Okay. Great thing about resources like that is we can just reset, we can just refresh them inside the game. Don't need to reboot for it. Fingers crossed. Still a problem. Okay, what's going on? Oh, there's a 33 in here somewhere. Okay. Ah, part of the axle. Ah, yep, I see. Just barely, but it does do that. Is that everything? Yep, that looks like it. Okay. God, my beautiful model is getting all squished. I probably will go in later and just downscale everything, but for right now, ideally scaling everything by the same thing on all of the axes so that it's at least the same thing but bigger when you're using it. Oh, so much. There. Once more, hopefully for the last time. What is its problem now? Still exceeds. Okay, there's still a point in here that's at 33. Not that I can see. But apparently... unable to load textures? That's interesting. It's closer, but it's not what we're looking for here. Shrinks your carriage. Yeah, a little bit. Okay, that's progress. Boy, is it ever a mess, but it is there. It's a model. Okay. Let's see if that fixes the texturing at the very least. Some degree of progress has been made. There we are. Okay. We have a model. It looks like heck compared to how it started, but we have a model. Grand. And because it's just a block model, we can change out each individual texture for each individual part as and how we like. Good. How do we get that over to here? What's going on there? I'm gonna guess that's part of the block states. I could theoretically simplify things for myself by making multiple models rather than everything in the same model, but having everything in the same model means I know how everything interacts. Okay, so we have the model as a block, but we don't have the model as an entity, evidently. Oh, apparently not even as that. Okay. Let's have a quick look at the model details here. That's the model itself. I'm looking for is the block state. But that is not helping me here. Okay, what we got here? Exception loading block state definition, block states oak wagon chassis in resource pack for variant normal, unknown block state property, normal, missing model for variant. That's okay. Can we get this going before my next break? That's my question. I haven't even gone to the part of sitting on it yet. Okay, it's back as a block. At the very least. Needs some severe tweaking, but it's back as a block. So what's going on here? Unknown block state property normal. Okay, is it? But when I didn't have it as normal, it didn't render anything. little bit of Z fighting. Oh yeah, a lot of Z fighting. Is it like default then? I know this exists. I know this exists. What's an example here? Bamboo, maybe? Let's have a look at bamboo. Nope, and that's also the models, not the block states. Something that doesn't have any changes. Nope, it's just that. Okay. Okay, so we still got that one. Good. So the renderer is looking for normal, but normal doesn't exist. As true in Minecraft as it is in real life. There will be some resource pack errors anyways, but those are unrelated, like the fact that the needled status effect doesn't have a texture yet. Okay, fingers crossed, and I'm taking my break. Come what may, make it a happy story, please. Come on, Minecraft, behave. Woohoo! Yes, okay. They're a pretty decent size, honestly. For the limitations, they're actually a pretty decent size. Ah, right. I'll be back in 10 minutes. Go grab yourselves a drink. Welcome back, everybody, to the final hour of our evening, and I've just ported over some code from minecarts, which should allow us to ride our wagon. This won't look right, but it's a start, so let's see what we can get. I've also added in a quick, very, very incredibly simple item, called a wheel. Very strange thing, but I think it'll work out okay in the future. A wheel. Very strange mouthfeel, that word. Okay, so there's our actual wagon. The bounding box doesn't quite match up just yet, but working on it. I think we also need to like shuffle it a little bit, but yeah. I also think it's actually I also think that I've actually made the model backwards. Because that line there, that blue line, indicates the way the wagon is facing. Whoops. Is fine. At least for right now, we can really fix that easily inside the renderer. Just by rotating 180 degrees. There. Straightforward. But okay, let's have a look at this wheel, which is not inside of anything, so let me just give myself it. Okay, so there's a wheel. So very simple. The way this will work, just get rid of those, is that, let's see, if I get myself an item frame and a barrier, we can maybe sort of demonstrate this a little bit. This is going to be definitely not to scale, but you can at least get some idea. So by having the wheels themselves as items, we can append them to the renderer based on the contents of the wagon, and then we can also just rotate them around the axis so that they're actually like looking like they're functioning as wheels. If we just built them inside of the model of the wagon, then they'd be static. We would have to do some very weird shenanigans with them, and if we had them as a block model, it wouldn't render as properly. But since we can just use the fixed model of the wheel, as it is right here in the item frame, we can just translate to where the axle supposedly should be, scale the wheel as we like, and then spin it according to the motion of the actual wagon. Very straightforward. But okay. So let's see if I can't get these things to face the right direction, and then we'll actually like try and climb aboard one. It's an impossible object. It's as wheel-ish as like an ender pearl is. Not really anymore. Also, wow, these raid defense this raid defense button on my stream deck is getting a workout tonight, apparently. More than me. It's almost like Twitch has a substantial social problem that it really isn't engaging with at all. Oh well. What do I know? I'm just somebody who's been streaming here since 2009. Or something in that vicinity, at least. Okay, now it's facing the right direction. Is it centered? No, which direction is that? That's the Z-axis. I just want to get this centered so I can actually tweak the bounding box so it actually fits the model. Because I think that seems like a fairly decent size to me. What do you think? think maybe a bit bigger, because I did like it being like actually 4 blocks long. But, oh, and apparently the other direction. No. Speaking of a workout, since the wheels are separate from the cart, maybe there could be different types of wheels, like spiked wheels that have contact damage or something. That is the other thing that we benefit from by having different wheels. Yes, we can have, like, the simplest thing is we can just have different types of wooden wheel, but we can also have armored wheels that have more durability. We can have spiked wheels. We can have wheels that maybe work better on different terrain, that kind of thing. Like, it opens up a lot of possibilities by having them there. Simply craft a caltrop with a wheel. Oh, that'd be a really cheap upgrade. But okay, just to keep my stream deck on its standing point there, just so we actually have access to the button if I need it. Okay. Whew. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Phew. Snow tires? Oh yeah. Maybe basic wagon wheels work best on like paths, who knows? We won't know until we actually implement it. For right now, my main concern is just like different types of wood, because currently it's just oak. Am I a woman? God no. See this face, hear this voice, and you think I'm a woman. God. Okay. So. Let's see. That is central. Good. What is the bounds of this thing? It's about 2.5 by about 2.5, I think. Whereas it is currently rated as 1.5. There. So man, yeah. Okay, so let's actually test the thing that we've been waiting to test here. If we right-click this thing, do we ride it? Yes! Okay, we're hovering, but good. Good. We can reduce the altitude of our hover by reducing the height of the object. But that's a little irrelevant because we will be changing up the function that determines where riders differently go. So let's see, that is about half a block, I think, in height. More like 0.75. Yeah, it is, like, no offense to anybody, but it is entertaining when somebody comes in to it is entertaining when somebody comes into my streams and somehow assumes that I'm trying to be a woman. I don't know how. I confess the B cups might throw them off, but no. so the next thing we would do, theoretically, would be to tweak that function to make it so that we're actually, like, our character is on the seat. But since I'm evidently going to be fixing things up, we're probably not going to be quite there just yet. Okay, yeah, that's a lot. Wow, that's basically exactly the right height. Good eye, me. Look at that. Yeah, the seat is actually clipping into the boundary box line. That's perfect. So, okay, here I am. Can't do anything, but that's to be expected. I will be having this lift up based on its wheels. So if it has like at least 2 wheels, it'll actually be lifted up based on those wheels. But obviously, right now, we don't have that. But we are able to sit, still hovering slightly, in the chassis of our cart, which is good. Okay. I would like it to be that the cart actually has a physical bounding box, much like a shulker. I don't know what they've renamed the function that makes that happen, but let's find out. It's used by, like, 2 things, more or less. It's used by boats and it's used by shulkers. But I don't know exactly where it is. Because it was named one thing inside of 112, and it is named a different thing now. Let's see, collision border size, 0F, nope. Entity collision, not a thing. Goblin raiders targets wagon wheels rather than the player. I mean, they could, raiders in general, ambushers could do that. I'm not actually seeing anything in here that screams that it controls collision. There's nothing here that returns a bounding box. Okay, right, well, does the shulker extend out of an entity that's useful for this purpose? Golem, apparently. Interesting. So, according to Minecraft vanilla canon, shulkers are a kind of construct. They're a robot, like an iron golem. Who would have thought? Okay, that's related to blocks, so obviously that's not correct. Where does that get used, I wonder? Purely just that. Okay. Not helpful. Game Theory was right on guessing that they're constructs. I mean, there's also a lot of back and forth on whether, from the community at least, on whether or not the, Blaze is a construct. I registered it as a construct in 112 versions of various oddities, but in the newest ones I'm actually thinking more that it's it's actually an elemental. Because elementals can look relatively machine-y. A lot of constructs are powered by elementals. Okay, so that's the part where it moves. There's the bounding box. Targetable area. Targetable area. But I don't see anything that says that its bounding box is solid. So is that declared as part of the entity type? There's that function, whatever the heck that's used for. Shows up in Pillager as well. And that's just the size, immune to fire, and tracking range, so that doesn't seem like it. What on earth is this function? No idea. I have absolutely... Okay. equals creature or miscellaneous. So I guess it's just... that is strange. But okay, at least we've established that it's not from that then. Okay, I'm gonna put that on the back burner for a hot second. Go back to our wagon, and the next thing that we want to do is determine how we connect our wagon to a horse, because that's kind of an integral part. A wagon with no horse can't really do anything. So let's see if we can at least leash our wagon to a horse. Now in the case of Asticor, it has a button inside essentially that just links them. And I could add a linking tool, but it would be so much easier if we could just use leashes, and that makes a lot of sense internally anyways. So, let's see, what we want is... I think that there's a boolean for this, of can be leashed. Might be called a lead, who knows? There we go, lead, okay. Lead item. Okay. So that's just the... so the lead item itself only handles when you're actually doing it to an entity. Okay, gotcha. Mob entity, clear leash, recreate leash, interaction. So app can be leashed too. There you are. And yeah, it's just a mob. Okay. So not get leashed and oh, okay, that's fairly straightforward. That is actually more or less exactly as we'd like it, but in this case, not this not get leashed. Which apparently is the thing. Is that a, tell me that's a public. Oh, it's because we're not a right. We're not. This thing isn't a mob entity. It's just a living entity. Okay, yeah, that should be fine if we change that. We shouldn't inherit too much problems there. Okay, so step one, can we leash the... oop, there's a problem. Step one, can we leash the thing and then drag it around? Can I override a final method? Okay. What would you prefer? Right, overrode then. No, that's knocking. Guess it wants this? Yeah, actually a little type right there. There, you happy? Good. Stay happy for me. Oh, man, it's just running a different thing that I don't think I've even tested, but nonetheless, run. Sometimes it does that, so I prefer to do that than use the hotkey. God, I was so happy to have a haircut. For reference, the last time I got a haircut, my bang ended up about here. It's grown to about twice the length it should be. I'm hoping to schedule a haircut this week, we'll see. Okay, so if we right click with an empty hand, we should just mount it. If we right click with a lead, we should hopefully lead it. And all of my things are gone. Hang on. Was Was there a problem in here when they loaded? Ah, follow range. Yeah. We did not give them the proper attributes. They don't have any. They shouldn't have any AI, but they need attributes. Eesh. I'm also just like really incredibly over having my roots be visible. Because my natural hair is still blonde. Doesn't really look like it on camera, but my natural hair is still blonde. It's just a much darker blonde than the color I actually prefer it to be. I think it's a dirty blonde is what it's usually called. Not sure. Give or take, yeah. Like, my mum has blonde hair. My dad, I think, has blonde hair in his family line. But my dad is also brown-haired, as is my brother. So that's sort of taken over a bit more as I've gotten older. Dark blonde at this point? Yeah, that's fair. Unable to summon. What's going on? Same problem? Follow range. We're grading this according to the wagon. Why are we not getting follow range? That is interesting. Okay. The navigator apparently is getting that. Does that mean there's, like, AI in here? I wonder. Am I going to have to lobotomize the wagon? That's a sentence. Am I going to have to lobotomize the wagon? You won't find statements like that on any other Twitch stream, that's for sure. Wagon is an elemental. That's the minimum value of follow range. 0. Fine. Again, doesn't matter. Elemental of travel. Feel when you have to take the brain out of the wooden wagon. Yeah. It's a very Foundcraft kind of problem, that, isn't it? God, there's an idea. If we, like, magically enchant a wagon so it can actually, like, follow you of its own accord. Like, if you use Unseen Servant on a wagon with a horse, can the Unseen Servant just serve as a pilot? Or a driver, I guess? God, there's an idea. Fascinating notion. Okay, let's get our wagon back. If we can. There we go. Okay. So right-click. Nothing happens. Okay. Bearing in mind. Lead. Will not let us. Why not? Where does that get called? Heckle, apparently. Nowhere. Action result type. Yes, that should be fine. Apparently it does not exist. Player entity to hand. Player entity to hand. I can assure you it is, because we literally just cloned it from the superclass. I'm quite confused now. Like, it's right here. On child spawn from egg. Oh god, it's baby wagons. Okay. Let's check villagers. Villagers must have something for this. a different function than we saw. Part of mob entity. Why does that have a different name than the one that we literally just checked? There we go. Okay. Hopefully that'll work, I guess. If leash holder equals player, clear leash. Success or consume. Ah, because this function actually deals with the leash part. Gotcha. Right. Name tag, name your wagon. Oh, the hilarious consequences of treating a wagon like an entity. Or like a living creature, I guess. Okay. So we have to re-implement that event, basically. Okay, we should be able to do that fairly quickly. Okay. Step 1. Can we leash the wagon? Step 2. When the player then tries to when the player right clicks on a horse whilst having a leash attached to a wagon. Then we want to leash our wagon to our horse. But first, we need to leash it to us. And I will say this will probably be more, this will probably be a substantially more rigid connection than a lead usually is. Like, if you're running around with a bunch of animals on leashes, you tend to get them stuck behind, like, small hills and such. Okay, we can now get back on it. Good. And can we leash it? Apparently still not. I don't know why. Is it that part? I'm guessing it's that part. Instance of iMob. Ah, that'll be why. Okay. We're so close. Is a baby wagon just like the little red one that like kids pull around? Is that it? Let's see, is it player entity? Yes. Yes, that is a babe wagon? Okay. Good to know for theoretical modeling purposes later, I guess. Okay, we've effectively spent 3 hours trying to make a large box that we can sit in or drag around us. In fairness, like an hour of that was spent, like, making it render as anything. Anything that we could perceive. Okay, can we... We still can't. That is fascinating. Okay, is that referenced? Have I typed it correctly? Yes. That function calls it, and I've overridden it, so it should be fine. I suppose the easy thing is just check, are we leashed? that have a... Yep, that should be fine. Okay. I wonder if it's just... Is it functioning but we just can't see it, I guess is the next question. Even more funny when you think about the red wagon is that they are normally made from metal, while the full wagon is mainly wood. Scale. Economies of scale, I guess. Okay, let's have a sis out here just to let us know if we're actually hitting this part. Come in. Paste to player. Get display name string. Okay. Set leash holder. Leash holder instance of player entity for spawn. Okay. Attach notification. Mount entity packet. Is passenger, then stop riding. What does this packet do? Does this packet specifically care if we're an iMob or not? Doesn't seem like it. Okay. I mean, worst case scenario, we just add iMob. It's not a huge concern. There are many ways in which a wagon should be treated as an entity. It has a living creature anyways, so it's not a huge problem. The children lose their protective shell as they grow old enough to defend themselves. Yeah. No one picks on the big wagon. Does that make it? Would that then mean that wagons are effectively an instance of be careful who you make fun of in high school? Okay, so let me just bring that up. So, can sit on it, good. Can lead it. No, we never get to that line of code. Okay. Why do we never get to that line of code? We check the item, we know it's actually, like, a lead. Let's just get rid of that line for a hot second here. I'm in creative mode, so I should be able to leash you in more things than normal. Ah, come on, let me just drag around this hunk of wood. That's all I ask for. No, we somehow don't even get there. Which means this function isn't getting called. So what is that? That is the function that we were just using. But that's not going to use anywhere, apparently. That's what I say when I say that Minecraft is a very interesting thing. Okay, so there's one that is specials, which is the one we were just using from villagers, and then there's this one, which doesn't want to be used at all, apparently. Okay, let's just add iMob and see if it works. Don't think there's literally anything in iMob, it's just a tag interface, essentially. I think there might be some things that target iMobs. Let's find out. No, that's just gonna defense attack from shulkers. Attacks anything there's an eye mob, apparently. So shulkers will try to heck up your wagons. Everyone beware. God, that's an interesting concept then. If a shulker bullet... We can prevent this in code, but if a shulker bullet hits a wagon, the wagon will be given the levitation status effect, so the wagon will begin to fly. What an odd situation that would be. Flying through the end on a levitating wagon. Of course, when the wagon then loses levitation and lands, it'll take a bunch of fall damage, which will be converted into durability damage of its components, so then the wagon would smash apart, which is actually kind of appropriate, I guess. Sounds like a wonderful experience. Yeah. And we it won't let us do it twice. Hang on. I think now it's just not rendering. If I move you far enough away. Felt like it worked for a hot second there. And we can't ride it anymore. But me moving away isn't moving it. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay, what are we missing here? Is it the follow range? I guess it's the follow range, because we said that's 0. I'll check mob entity and see where that data goes with the leash holder element. Okay, so there's the renderer. We're obviously not using that part of the render because we're not using that kind of rendering. So that'll be the part where the leash gets drawn. Follow caravan. Follow trader. Leash not entity. I don't see anything that actually makes the mob entity follow, is the interesting thing here. There's a follow mob goal. Is that specifically not entity leashed? Okay, so it's not that. Follow owner. Similarly, just checks if they're not leashed, so that's the opposite of what we're looking for. We are so close to the end of the stream. Please, let me have this. Let me not have spent 3 hours hammering together a single piece of wood. Okay, let's change the render a little bit. Just so we can see, indeed, if there is a... what does mob renderer want? The model and the shadow size. entity, and then model. Whatever model we give it is irrelevant because it doesn't get rendered. Or it shouldn't be, but who knows. Is the shadow rendered in the super of that? Render leash is. Okay. Where does the shadow get rendered is my question. It does not get rendered, it's in renderer. Okay. So we can get rid of the super. Do that, add that. You made that private, didn't you, dingus? Okay. Irritating. Highly irritating. Fine, take that. Take that and away with you. Did I do my squats? I'm pretty sure I did. I feel like I did. By this time next week, I should definitely at least have wheels on the thing. Which is kind of an important step. Oh, speaking of squats. Dusty, please, I have 5 minutes. Yeah, I thought that'd happen. But there's still also nothing going on here. Okay. Okay, the wagon is now immortal. Interesting. Okay, can I get on you? I can't get on you either. Okay, so it's not the lead that's broken. It's apparently just the fact that we have, we've somehow broken the interact. That's fascinating. How the dick have we done that? Also, does this super actually check if the model is null? Apparently not. I'll probably just have to re-implement the lead. Oh well. Well, we're getting there at least. We have an entity. I suppose an immortal wagon would use like bedrock components or some such. Effectively, I suppose you could also just modify the item data and make it the unbreakable tag. So.
All right. I'll tell you the truth.
Right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a lot harder than when I was holding it to my chest. Jesus. 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That definitely feels like it's burning the right part. Lordy. Okay. That is all I have time for today. Apologies to everybody for not making more progress, but we had some interesting adventure there, I think. So let me see. I need to fix model and rescale to 3x4. I need to add solid banding box. Hydrate for the road. Thank you very much, Bridge.
I'll tell you the truth.
And need to make sure we can leash. Anyways, that's something we'll get to probably next week. I'll try and make some progress on some of these at the very least by then. And if we don't manage to finish up on the horse-drawn cart next week, we'll work on it as well. Otherwise, my next stream should be on Thursday at 9 PM once again with the Wombats, playing probably some Sea of Thieves. Then on Saturday, we should have the Carousel, playing some random games with the patrons. And any videos I make are over at youtube.com/remembercomic. Meanwhile, why am I slightly out of breath? Jesus. I think we found a good exercise for me. Meanwhile, everything I do is powered by you at patreon.com/lying. Hope you all enjoyed. I'll catch you all as ever next time.